Alright, Earthbound 2 review. Following up on my Earthbound 1 review. So it's been about a month. I gave it some time on purpose just to see how it would digest and see if it still felt the same after I'd given it some time to contemplate on it. And it's still good. I still enjoy it. I reread both 1 and 2. Both were very enjoyable, so no problems there. Earthbound 2 picks up pretty much right where Earthbound 1 left off, and it flows perfectly into the continuation of the story. I'm not sure how much time Narwhal had between writing the script for 1 and 2, but it doesn't miss a beat. You know, the story and the art feel exactly the same, and it's not interrupted at all, which is a good thing. There's a lot more action in this second book, and you know that's just natural considering the it's kind of the big climax resolution of the overall story. And it bounces around a lot because it's dealing with a lot of plot points at the conclusion here, but it juggles it all really well, you know. And an interesting thing is it bounces around, you know, between the different characters and following them. Is you kind of have sympathy for all the different factions that are going on, and I ended up rooting for whoever was on the page at the time, and I think that's a good sign. It shows that they were all well developed characters, you know, and they weren't just flat. So, thumbs up for that. It gets a little bit confusing right at the conclusion and the climax of the story, just because there's a lot going on. But it made more sense when I read it the second time, and it's there's no plot holes or anything like that. It's something you have to really pay attention to and follow the plot to get the full gist of it. And it does a really good job with the conclusion of the story. It sets it up perfectly for the sequel, Earthbound 3, which I'm sure we'll see at some point. And it sounds like, from how it concludes, that spoilers, it's going to be like 3 years from this story, and it's going to be set up for the Grand Prix, which they allude to in the story. And that's cool, and I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also a little worried. Just because for me, half the appeal of this story was kind of the juxtaposition of, you know, you had this like suburban high school setting on Earth and all these fantastical things going around, but the characters were well grounded. And I'm speculating, but I think this story sequel is going to move it into space. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. I just don't think it's going to be as appealing to see these characters in space as it was in, you know, the laid back and chilled high school setting of these first 2 books. But we'll see what he does with it. You know, the characters are about 18 in this story, and 3 years they'll be 21. So it's kind of a matter of, you know, high school doesn't last forever, and the characters will move into their 20s. So we'll see what it brings, and I'm looking forward to what Narwhal brings next.